Welcome to the Rethink Sales Show. My name is Derek Kelly. I am joined by Jim Shorkey. And Jim, we love to help people rethink sales to learn how to better live out their mission.
How you can be the greatest salesperson on the planet.
And so, Jim, something I was thinking about is my wife and I were just laughing and having a good time and talking about, I remember being on the wrestling team in middle school and I wasn't really good at it. I had lost most of my matches. I was just getting pinned every single time. And so I was just thinking, I was like, man, Jim would have such good insight on this. Sometimes it feels like you lose at a lot of things in life. But in the end, if you keep working on yourself, it feels like you end up winning. How does that work? I felt like I lost in so many places, but now I look at where I am today and I'm just blown away. So what do you think that is? Where do you think that comes from? And how can we help the audience, if they feel stuck, make the next steps toward who they're meant to be and toward living out better sales?
If you think about the mathematics of it, the chances are very high that you're going to lose. If you gamble, the chances are very high that you're going to lose whatever it is that you bet, the lottery, these kind of things. Chances are when you go to get a job and you're interviewing and you do the very best you can, you've researched everything, chances are you're going to lose because there's other people competing for that same job. So you got a 50-50 chance. But if it's 10 other people, maybe you have a 10% chance. So the odds are against you going in because you're not the only one. That said, another approach to it would be things get better when I get better. And so strategically speaking, if I want to increase my odds, increase my chances of winning, does it make sense that I need to go to work on me? So if I'm getting pinned too much, it would be a good idea, for example, to get a coach, maybe a side gig coach, not your main coach, but a coach to help you, to train you, to teach you of what you should be doing. And this would be a wrestling coach, what you should be doing to improve your wrestling skills. And so if you're getting pinned 10 out of 10, and you get this coach and you start working on day 1, day 2, week 1, week 2, and by the end of 30 days, you've gotten a lot better. And now you go back out and wrestle and you get pinned 7 out of 10 times, and you're still losing. You may think, wow, I'm still losing. This is terrible. This stinks. But you know what? You lost 7 versus 9. So you keep working and getting better. You go back to your coach and he looks at the film and he says, let's try this. And you work on that and you keep working at it. And the next time around, they measure again. You lose 5 out of 10 times. You're still losing way too many times. You're not going to make the varsity, but you keep working at it. Now, to my own personal situation, I had a stroke. I had a very serious stroke, hemorrhagic stroke, 3 brain bleeds. And so I'm doing all this research into what I can do to recover from the stroke. And one of the things that I discovered is boxing. And believe me, I'm not a boxer. I'm a runner, right? So my approach to fighting was to run like heck, right? So I never boxed. I never fought. But learning how to box is something novel, which is very good for the brain of Jim Shorkey, recovering from a stroke. So learning how to box is novel. And guess what? I'm not good at it.
Yeah, you were going to give the crew an update.
I'm not good at it. I'm really not. But I keep trying and I'm getting better. And I'm working with my physical therapist and I have a device that it's called a Juke, Juke. And when you hit it, it hangs from the ceiling. When you hit it, it moves. So the next time you hit it, it's moving away from you or whatever it's doing. And so it takes an accuracy and an anticipation to do that. Also, with my physical therapist, he has the glove type things that you hit, right? And so he's teaching me how to punch, right? Guard up, punch, punch, punch. So I'll be out walking and I'll put my guard up, both, and I'll just walk and punch because I'm trying to ingrain into my brain. I'm trying to rewire my brain around this idea and I'm getting better. Am I going to fight Mike Tyson next month? Of course not. But am I getting better at boxing? Am I going to make the boxing team in high school, college? I'm 67 years old. So if you get amongst a bunch of 67-year-old boxers, I'm going to get my butt kicked. I know that. So I'm not trying to make the boxing team, but I am trying to improve my brain. And as I get better at boxing, my brain is going to get better as well. along with other strategies that I'm doing. So I think the answer is always going to be the same. If we could go back to your wrestling days,
Mhm.
let's do this. Let's do this right now. You're in high school. What grade are you in?
I'm a freshman. Yeah.
Okay, you're a freshman. So you're in ninth grade. Right? And what's your goal?
My goal then was I tried T-ball, I tried some other things, but because my vision, I wasn't very good at those things. So I figured I want to try something to lose some weight, to be more fit, and to just build some friendships.
What's the goal? I'm your coach. What's the
Mhm.
goal? You're in ninth grade and we're
Yeah.
talking about wrestling. What's the goal?
Win matches.
Even larger than that is to make the team. Wouldn't that be the goal? To make the
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
So the
Mhm.
goal is to make the team. In order to do that, you've got to win matches. In order to do that, you've got to get
Right.
better at your craft. So
Mhm.
what do we tell people all the time? Number one, we got to identify the goal, right? So
Mhm.
now we have a goal, make the team. Pretty crystal clear, right?
Yeah.
Let's go back to that ninth grade. You're in ninth grade.
Yeah.
And do you have self-esteem issues?
Absolutely. Yeah, I
Yeah.
did at that point in my
So we have self-esteem issues. So the reason you want to make the team is so that you'll feel better about yourself, maybe get the attention of this certain girl or this certain group of guys, and now you're a team member and you're with the team and everything. But I'm talking, we're going back there. And if you
Mhm.
can imagine right now, I want you to do this right now. You're going to go back and you're going to make the wrestling team. That's the goal.
Mm.
And thinking about making that wrestling team, which you did not do, does that make you emotional?
Yeah.
So do your
Yeah.
reasons why make you cry?
Yeah.
What's the next step? We seek expert counsel. Right now, we suck.
Yeah.
We get pinned 10 out of 10 times. So
Right.
we seek expert counsel. That would be that coach that
Right.
is willing to work with you and is going to charge you some money, but it's really important to you. So you go out, you have your paper route, so you can pay this coach, and he's going to coach you like Mark does for me twice a
Yeah.
week on
Yeah.
wrestling technique. And so you go to day one, oh my God, I'm terrible. Day two, I'm terrible.
Mhm.
Week one, I stink. Week two. But by the time we get to week 7 or 8, wow, I'm getting better. And so now we go back to the gym and we start wrestling again, and we've gotten better. And so we're starting to get people's attention, but we keep with the expert counsel, we keep getting the coaching, getting the assistance, learning new moves, learning new ideas. By the end of a certain period of time, you're going to be so good that you're going to make the team. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I'm trying to do is I'm not trying to be a boxer. I'm trying to have a brain. And from what I've read, doing novel things is a really important idea for me. Doing novel things that I don't know how to do. I want to make that very clear. I'm not just doing the boxing. As a matter of fact, when Mark has me boxing, so I'm trying to do that and I stink. And then it's okay, Jim, 10 push-ups. Okay, plank, side plank. Okay, other side plank. Okay, 10 more push-ups. Okay, get back up, let's box. And I'll tell you what, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. But he puts me through this routine. It takes probably about 45 minutes, and I'm tired at the end. As I study the workings of the human brain, number one, the brain is very malleable, meaning it can change. So I want you to think about that. It can change to the good,
Mhm.
it can change to the bad, it can change to the ugly. So I want to do things to the good. And so I'm really working on different modalities with that said. But that's really along the lines of what we're talking about here. And we always talk about this.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
basic underlying theme is things get better when I get better. And with respect to the brain, it's called use it or lose it.
Yeah.
So I have to give my brain a workout or it will degrade. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Did-
I just thought of it in the context of we teach about you'll have setbacks as you move towards your goal. And so for many of you, you're going to lose at something. And we acknowledge that, but we want you to have clear expert counsel to help you move past those setbacks and move toward the goal. Right.
Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Babe Ruth,
Mhm.
arguably the greatest home run hitter ever. Would you agree?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
What else was he really good at? He led the league in home runs. He led the league in strikeouts. He struck out a lot
Mhm.
because he was aiming for the fences.
Yeah.
So within the concept of winning, there is going to be an element of losing. And the problem with losing is we let losing defeat us.
That's right.
And losing is nothing more than information. When we were selling cars, we felt that if we could close 30% of our clients, that would be a good number. That's how I
Yeah.
was trained. That's how I was raised. So 10 people come into the showroom, or into the dealership, I should say, and we're going to do our thing, follow the process. We're going to sell 3 cars, but guess what? We're not going to sell 10, meaning we're losing 7 out of 10 times. And not everybody wins the Super Bowl. For some teams, just getting to the playoffs is a great deal. And even getting to the playoffs, guess what? They probably lost 3 or 4 or 5 games. So losing is part of the game. Do we like losing? Of course we don't. But it is part of the deal. And the difference between the true winners and the true losers, and I don't like to use that word, that sounds demeaning, but if you allow losing to defeat you, then you're probably going to keep losing. But if you interpret the losing as information, I messed up. You know what? I threw too many interceptions. Let's work on that. We had too many penalties. Let's work on that. That's what a good coaching system will do for you, even in the NFL. They're going to look at where they messed up and try to lower the mess ups and look where they did great things and try to increase those. And we're going to go get them next week. But the losing and winning, it's just information, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense because I think sometimes we let the losing become almost the definitive part of our identity, right? It's, oh, I lost. I'm poor at this, or we might call ourselves a loser, and that's actually not who we are.
Yeah, I've done that. I absolutely have done that. I felt like a loser. I acted like a loser, and I was consequently a loser. And in order for me to get out of that mentality, I had to really make aggressive moves to say, basically, stop, Jim, stop it.
But yeah, you told me self-doubt was like crippling you at one point. So how did you overcome that self-doubt?
Self-improvement. So I would listen to Brian Tracy. I would listen to Dennis Whaley. I would listen to, right now I've been listening to Jim Ziglar, listening to his podcast, a good friend of mine. And Jim Ziglar and Zig Ziglar, no relation, but I listened to Zig Ziglar. My all-time favorite was Jim Rohn. And so I'm feeling like a loser, get up in the morning, put some Jim Rohn in and start listening to this. I have a chill right now, massive chill. And start listening to Jim Rohn as I prepare to go to work. If he can do it, I can do it. If she can do it, I can do it. So I did a lot of affirmations. I read a lot of books about self-improvement. Now listen to my words, self-improvement. What did I say earlier? Things get better when I get better. So self-improvement would be my antidote to I am a loser. All right. We just wrestled 10 different matches. I lost 10 times. Sounds like a loser to me. Now, it doesn't make you a loser in life. It doesn't make you a loser as a brother. It doesn't make you a loser as a son or a father. But relative to wrestling, Derek, were you a winner or were you a loser?
Oh, I was a loser. I lost.
Okay. And so you probably, as a young man, didn't have the right approach to losing. Yeah. Losing is a part of life. If you think it isn't, you're delusional. The vast majority of people lose. The numbers are there. Two teams made it to the Super Bowl. 2. So all those other teams relative to the Super Bowl, they were losers. I think the number of teams that made it to the playoffs is, I don't know, maybe, is it 8 per?
8, 10.
Yeah. Let's just say 10. So 10 times 2 would be 20. So 20 teams out of how many teams are there? So the rest of those teams relative to making it to the playoffs, they were losers. A quarterback, a really good quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger comes to mind. He had a lot of interceptions. And you say, not that many compared to someone. You know what? One's too many, according to Ben. If you talk to Ben and say, that was a bad pass. I wish I wouldn't have done that. Tom Brady, all those guys, it's not what they want. We're all going to lose to a certain extent. And it's not the fact that you lost. It's how you react. Now what? Let's go to work on the fundamentals.
You need a plan.
Things get better when I get better. Let's go to work on, maybe with a good coach, with Ben Roethlisberger. They say, Ben, your footwork's all messed up. Oh, geez, I didn't know that. Show me. Oh, my goodness, you're right. Let's work on that, right? So things get better when I get better. If that was the fundamental approach that us losers hit life with, then we would minimize the losses. If you think about the strategic continuum, we talk about having a B to B plus plan, minimum. Obviously, the best plan would be the A plus plan. So we have an A plus plan. And now the key, once we have the plan, is to execute that plan. And so execution is really important. So if I have an A plus plan and I execute that plan 50% of the time versus a B plus plan executed 75% of the time, I will win with the B plus plan versus the A plus plan. And what I'm trying to point out is that it's not necessary that you have the very best plan. It is necessary that we have a good plan, but then the key is the execution. And so when you have that coach, as you're practicing, I have to execute the instructions. And as I execute the instructions, I get better. Am I where I want to be? No, but it's called progress. So we shoot for perfection. I want to be perfect, knowing that's not realistic. And if I can make progress, which is what you went from losing 10 out of 10 to losing 7 out of 10. And so you're still a loser, but you improved. And I think there's really a lot to be said for that. You do have awards in the sporting world for the most improved player, male or female. And that's a pretty big deal. So granted, you're still losing 7 out of 10 times, but you were losing 10 out of 10 times. So with that information, remember, results are just information. That's all they are. So you lost 7 out of 10 times. You had a great improvement, but we're not going to stop there. We go back to our coach and we keep looking at the film. We keep studying. We keep working on our footwork, on our handwork. Maybe we need to hit the weight room. So we hit the weight room for the next 3 months and we get stronger. And now we got it down to 6 out of 10 times. Wow, that's a major gain, but it's still not where we want to be. We got to get to where we're winning 7 out of 10 times, 8 out of 10 times. But if we keep progressing, guess what? We are in fact going to get there. So all I'm trying to say is, you asked me earlier about losing, and how losing is a part of life. Jim Rohn talked about planting seeds. Do you realize that when you plant seeds, the vast majority of them don't come to fruition?
Yeah.
But you got to keep planting. The more you plant, if you're knocking on doors trying to sell stuff, the vast majority of those knocks and doors opening are going to result in a door being slammed in your face. But you dust yourself off and keep going. And so if you're selling door to door and you get it to where you're closing 3 out of 10 doors, you're doing pretty darn good. What can we do to get it to 4? Things get better when I get better.
I think it's good. Yeah, I think it's good because what you were saying before, you get this thought in your head of, oh, I'm just not good at this. Nothing's ever going to change. And you were talking about defeating that self-doubt by finding not just expert counsel, but reading books, like getting in the...
That is expert counsel. The books are expert counsel.
Yes.
So anytime I talk about expert counsel, what do I talk about? I talk about the live coach, number one. I talk about the books. I talk about YouTube videos. I never met Jim Rohn, not once. I never talked to Jim Rohn. He's deceased now. But I read his books. I listened to his cassette tapes. That's how old I am. I can still watch his videos on YouTube. I love the man. I'm still able to take advantage of Jim Rohn's expertise, even though he's probably been dead a good 10 years, if I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But the fact is that, so remember, if I have self-doubt, which I do right now, I do. Can I defeat this stroke? I have self-doubt. The antidote to self-doubt is self-improvement. Things get better when I get better. So by getting better at boxing, I'm going to grow new brain. I'm not a doctor, by the way. This is not medical advice, so please don't take it that way. But what I'm told is that I can grow more brain. It's called neuroplasticity. My brain is very malleable, and I can grow to the good. I can grow to the bad. I can grow to the ugly. I'm working on the good. So is it possible that 5 years from now, so I'm 67, 5 years from now, I'm now 72, that my brain has improved so much that it's better than it was before I had the stroke?
Yeah. And the reason I wanted to do this episode, I remember you calling me from the hospital and saying, whenever we get this started again, I want to give people hope. I was just thinking about the moments that I've lost, the moments that you've lost, and reminding people that, yes, you're going to lose, but you can get back up, you can keep going, and here are some practical next steps you can take.
Ladies and gentlemen, I lost. I had a horrific stroke. I remember the next day when I woke up, the doctors kept saying, "You're amazing, you're amazing." I couldn't understand it. I felt like I just woke up from sleeping. If I woke up today and everybody saying, "You're amazing, Jim, you're amazing." What do you mean I'm amazing? As they kept saying that, I realized that what they were saying was that we thought we were going to lose you. I did lose. I lost. And it was not a victory. I can't look at my stroke and say, "Oh, look at you. This is great." It wasn't fun. It wasn't fantastic. Back in 1998, when my dad died, I said this many times. People that have listened to me have heard me say this. If I was half as smart as I thought I was, I would have been pretty darn smart. I proceeded to run the business exactly how I wanted to run it. Very arrogant, know-it-all, the whole thing. Didn't want any help, didn't want any advice. 2 years later, I'm bankruptcy imminent. I had a negative $100,000 in the bank account. Does that sound like a winner or a loser? I lost. I remember getting the call of what was going on. I didn't really understand it, and I knew I had to face it. So my reaction to that, I was on my bank's doorstep before they opened. Needless to say, I didn't sleep that night. I was there. I hooked up with my people and I said, I got a problem. And I told him exactly what it was, what happened. And my guy told me that he assured me that my checks would not bounce. And I felt that they were my dad's checks. I was a loser. And I borrowed money to get the bank account liquid again. And then I had to go to work. I wasn't a winner. I was a loser. Losers do not go. I didn't go bankrupt, by the way, to be clear, but I was bankruptcy. I was going down. But when I did seek expert counsel, like I'm trying to get you to do with a wrestling coach, I went to Mr. Hamilton and he gave me a list. When I looked at the list, I realized I wasn't doing anything on that list. I was a loser. As soon as I started doing the list, that needle started to move. And I kept doing the list and it kept moving. And then I went back for more and it kept moving. Went to other people, had mentors. I've said this many times. It wasn't me. It was the mentors. So the way to get out of losing is self-improvement, improving yourself, self-help, self-improvement. That's how you get out of it. That's what I did. That's what I'm doing right now. I am a loser relative to having had a stroke. That's not a winning move. Everything I'm doing to recover from this stroke is all about me getting better. When I was in the hospital, I asked Dr. Rosellis, what should I do? He said, you got to walk a lot. Guess what? 5 miles yesterday. Does that sound like walking a lot? Things get better when I get better. Go to work on yourself. Jim Rohn used to say, spend more time working on yourself than you do working on your job. It's the same kind of an idea. I loved that. So I went to work on Jim Shorkey. And when I went to work on Jim Shorkey, got better, and the results on the job got better as well. If you don't believe me on this, just Google Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group and look at what it is and understand that in 1998, which isn't that long ago, it was in bad financial condition. And I, through the help of a lot of mentors, I fixed it. So I'm a winner. I'm a winner.